mobiles. So, okay. Hi, everybody. Not the last talk, but the last day. I'd like to give you a hopefully not too long update about what's going into the release candidate for the SPDX safety profile. We had a lot about the, let's say, expectations yesterday and the day before. So,
I think probably had agenda for you just from.
yeah.
Still coming through on the recording. Fine, keep going, Nicole.
Okay. So as I've seen in the last few days, I keep the slides for introducing SPDX or the parts of SPDX that are important for us, and then walk you through the use cases that we had in mind when creating the safety profile, what goes into 3.1, and what did we push for 3.2. Yeah, I'm Nicole. I'm mainly automotive person, but I understand myself at the more systems level, software level, safety, security, dependability stuff. I started with SPUSA about 15 years ago, worked a long time as an assessor and changed then to consulting, founding AlektoMetis. So we're now, doing the stuff that consulting companies usually do, consulting, independent assessment, trainings, you name it. I'm involved in some safety-related open source projects. I'm the safety manager in the Central project. I'm here in the ELISA project. I lead together with Kate, the group here that created the profile that I introduced. And my first touch point with, let's say, professional open source was when I created the third-party certification for the OpenChain project with TÜV. If you want to text me, my handle is Nicole Pappler, usually Discord, GitHub. It works. If I don't answer, just ping me again. So, what's SPDX? So it's an open standard, so you can find it also on ISO IEC. The version of the standard is the SPDX 2.3 version. We're currently working towards making SPDX 3.0 on the ISO standard. And the project consists of the specification, that's the part that goes to ISO, a license list, and a set of tools and libraries that you can use to work with that. So I'm mainly working with the core model here. So there's the core model, and there are profiles, obviously, because we talk about the safety profile, and we don't have the profile idea limited to safety. There are a lot of other profiles. The core element in the profile and the core profile is element. So element has everything to describe a thing that you want to have listed somewhere. So it has a creation info, when, who did it, or when was it provided. You can add comments, references, give it an ID, and then put it into relationships or linking it to other things via relationships. This relationships describe dependencies between elements or artifacts. So that's dependencies between element type things. Important thing here that we also use is that a relationship can be complete or incomplete. This makes it a lot of easier to describe, or link stuff for FUSA, because you want to have it complete, but sometimes you need to flag it incomplete because it's work in progress, or you're just not happy with it. So this is the list of the relationships in 3.0. No need to read through that. You can find this all on the repo, but you see it's extensive, and we will add to that. There are the other profiles that we considered, and it's a software profile that you can use for software artifacts and products. There's a security profile to identify your relationship to CVEs and that stuff. And for when we started with the SPDX Fooder group, we had the goal that we have, the profile that can be used to describe the dependencies in the user project, generating a safety case document that's standardized, having something where we can really walk through either manually or automated to find things and find the root causes, and to have something that we can standardize and integrate into the CI pipeline. Why do I talk about dependencies in the FUSA project? In the FUSA project, we have these links and processes and plans that describe how things need to be done. And when you just go a step back, you see it's what we call in the FUSA world with links and relationships. It's mainly dependencies. A high-level requirement and the detailed design, they depend on each other. It's nothing else than a dependency. They are coupled, and we need to express this. Same with having test cases and test reports. They all have dependencies on their inputs, and the base document has a dependency on the evidence that hopefully has the evidence that everything is fine. So we discovered more or less that it's always three types of documents. You have the plans, pros, line types, you have the requirements and specifications, and you have all the verification and reporting and test stuff that belongs together. The issue that it's nothing new, and it's not even new to this workshop here. We discussed this quite a lot. You have the evidences all over your, let's say, workplace. You have some stuff local, you have some stuff in a repo, you have some stuff on SharePoint, you have some stuff that in an exclusive setup tool, either on-prem, on the cloud, or whatever. You have no way to link this stuff. You have no way to automate the process of gathering the evidences and the versions that belong together. My favorite slide is based on my last 15 years experience in the safety world, the safety case documentation that gives you all the the lists of what went into your safety case argument. Usually it's some kind of Excel blob that's partially automated, partially then edited manually, most probably never really up to date, and that has some very strange names. And so, Kate and me, we started with going through the model and saying, hey, we can do something here. And first thing that we tackled is, we need to sort also our documents that we create in the FUSA lifecycle to the different kinds of SBOMs that are there, and then realized, this even enables us to create, let's say, specific types of safety exchange information for the concept phase, for the development phase. Once you have deployed it, once you want to retire it, once you want to see how a deployed system maybe looks, including all the log files, all the stuff you gather, and all the config files you throw on it on the long term. This already existing principle gives us the freedom and the tool for that. So the big hope was that we get from having some kind of weird Excel list to this reproducible scheme. And so the first use case really was walk through what we have and what we need and apply the relationships that we have. And it worked already. So it's not something specific for FUSA, it's a crutch, but it already worked. So we specified things in more detail for the profile. Decided to make new classes for everything. Already prototyped this principle in the Zephyr project to set up the dependencies in the requirements management. So this is small, you don't need to read through that. What you see is we have planning and guideline documents, we have Then the left side of the V with the requirements and design documents, and this little bit on the left corner is what we export from the requirements to the safety manual. When you look into more detail how that could look like, so you have these dependencies regarding, yeah, you have a plan. This plan describes, for example, how the requirements need to be written. The requirements are then there for a more detailed in the detailed design go for each separate component. This goes into the code. The test is the code is subject to test, and so it all belongs together. You can express the relationships with what we already have in SPDX. And yes, just the big benefit then is once you find an issue in your executable, it's not a big question mark. So whoever ever did an impact analysis on an already released automotive application knows the frustration in getting the right people in the room, on the phone, or on what communication channel, whatever, that might know where this issue comes from. Is it the source code? Is it the build chain? If it's the source code, is it originally from having non-suitable coding guidelines, or is the design wrong? Did we forget something in the requirements? We don't know usually, and we have to talk to all the people because we don't know where it comes from.
There's a question in from Matt Weber in the chat. Saying where would we start to help our artifacts tooling / metadata teams to get started and give feedback? Where should Boeing start to help us with giving feedback? We've got Chuck usually participating.
Yeah, and Chuck participating.
But we've got some tooling people that want to help.
The Friday call, contact us before so we can get them on the agenda.
I'd also suggest that taking a look at what Luigi's done in Basel.
Yeah.
As a starting point for the prototyping things with the earlier versions.
That's a thing, yeah.
Okay. Well.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, so here's the important part for this talk. I really want to show you what goes into the release candidate. We talked about a lot of stuff the last 2 years. What's now for the first release is really setting up a basic requirements class, a class to describe verifications, a new entry for relationship types, so to trace requirements, and a little more complex model to describe evidences and their evaluation. So when you look into our initial idea of expressing these user dependencies in the V model with SPDX, yeah, you see we can now describe the V model, but not the planning and the guideline phase. But everything that, let's say, from the engineering side that you want to express, we can express with 3.1. For those that had this release candidate talk earlier this year, we did some changes, so please stay with me. The first class we created was the requirements class. Yeah, for being FUSA people in here, I don't need to teach you what the requirement, what you need to express to have a unique identifier, to keep it atomic, and to have all the properties that you basically need for describing a requirement. We stick with the element class for that, as we have already a lot of stuff in element that we need, from SPDX ID to giving it a name, this creation info that relates then to whoever created it and when it was created. We can even add the integrity method with verified using. And then we can give it a unique ID. We can tag it to a dev life cycle phase, like is it a development time or an implementation build time requirement, or is this a requirement regarding the integration, or is this a requirement regarding decommissioning phase and phasing out of something? And yeah, the core information with the requirement statement and the rationale. Next thing we tackled was verification. So we can have identification for the usual verification stuff, reviews, inspection, some kind of analysis, tests. From the aerospace world, we also added demonstration. And it also became quite a small add-on element with saying, hey, what kind of verification is this? Adding an enum for the verification type, preconditions, post-conditions of verifications, and the rationale to it. We also thought about how can we relate several levels of requirements and the verification specification for it, and decided that a requirement has a verified by relationship to its verification, and that it has a trace to detail relationship to a derived requirement. Last thing that goes into the release candidate is the evidence stuff. Evidences need to be highly coupled with the verification. The evidence is 4. And there was a lot of back and forth in that. And in the end, we made this a little bit different to what we had in requirement and verification. Because one thing is, we did not succeed with coming up with, let's say, standardized way to describe an outcome of a verification activity. Like we can't grasp a log or a report or a recording of a demonstration in the same way. So we said it's an element type work product that provides this information. And the next step is somebody or something needs to evaluate if this, for example, the content of this log is sufficient evidence to be satisfied with the outcome, so that you say, hey, we're happy this test run has been logged, we walked through the log, our tooling walks through the log, and we are now sure that the requirement has been implemented in the code in the way that we expected it to be, and it behaved like we expected it. So to describe this, we added a new class for evidences, for relationship, the evidence relationship, that basically is a normal relationship that has a type and this complete, incomplete member, but also can be uniquely identified because it gets an ID. It says which evidence type it's looking to. It has a relationship to that evidence type. It's a two relationship, and it comes from this evaluation result that says, hey, I checked this type. This is a rationale why I'm happy with that. And by the way, here is the requirement verification. So the test specification, the checklist, whatever that we used to do this verification and to create the evidence. Evaluation result type, we tried to keep it as simple as possible with pass, fail, and inconclusive. We recommend in the model that if you choose inconclusive, to add a comment. We had a long discussion if we make the comment mandatory in this case, and decided against it because we want to keep it as usable as possible. But clearly, once you bundle this with whatever assessment model, for FUSA, you would need to check if it's not inconclusive, and if they're inconclusive, that you have a comment.
So what is the main delivering an ID for the relationship?
You need to have a clear ID for identifying your evaluation result.
The evidence, what kind?
Yeah, but you have the, was definitely not possible to have the evidence work item modeled in the same way as the other stuff, because it can be some amorphous blob that you need in the end really to have one more step to evaluate if the evidence is enough.
Up till now, we've basically accepted that evidence is gonna be a file somewhere. But it could be an observation and some other things.
Yeah, it
like
could be meeting minutes.
meeting minutes, observations, things. So we need to be able to point to other things and
And
just
it could be,
straight.
could be a video of a demonstration. So, but we can't describe it in the same way as we describe requirement or verification. So that's why we moved the content that we would like to have in this element type work product on the right-hand side. We moved it to a relationship. And then we can have all information that we need.
Yeah, I think the question was a different one, whether you need these IDs in relation.
Yeah, that's because we can't put the ID in the element type work product in the same way. So it can have an SPDX ID, but we can't enforce this unique universal unique ID on this product.
Why not?
Good question. That was the result of the discussion back then.
Same. That's the. We can
have
unique idea in the idea in the element itself.
Not
There
really,
was another way.
not universally.
Yeah, but if everything is an element, what your
Yeah.
model says, then everything is a
And
unique
the
ID.
SPDX ID is not unique.
An SPX ID is unique.
Is unique?
An SPX ID is unique.
This is the characterism of an ID.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a question.
Even a relation is an
Ordinance
element,
system that
therefore
they
it has
wanted
also.
to potentially.
I want an idea of the relationship between
Okay, that's-
respect to
Let's take this for that.
relation.
Yeah, it felt, yeah, we take this back to the call.
Oh, sure.
Mhm.
Kate, can you,
I'm making a note. right
yeah,
now.
because I will forget about it.
Yeah.
Have some more feedback to the model.
Good, we want it. Come join us.
It's more a revolution than an evolution, but yeah, we'll.
Well, like I say, this is the time to fix it, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're trying for. Okay.
More questions?
Yeah, then my question is about the relation. So currently you can model an author and a document and assign the relation has test.
Mhm.
Because
Things like that, yeah.
yeah, but this does not make sense
Why?
because test is a relation between requirement and test or verification, but test is a relationship between requirements and not between persons. So you should be more specific. You should say a person may not have a test because or a document may not have a test. So this is everything can be related to everything, and that's not good. You should in the model be more precise, and because if you want to exclude that a person has a test, then you have to specify this. And if you do not specify it in the model, then it will.
Why can a person not have a test? If you have a person for a certification, the person has taken a test.
Yeah, but it is not foreseen here. So
But it's possible. Why
If
don't
you
they
need-
restrict us
if-
for
if-
that?
because it's some relations really don't make sense. So you can defend everything, but I think some relations have an intent, and in a good modeling practice, you should have them as specific as possible, because then you do not need to specify what you exactly want. And also from the tooling, it's much easier if you go to requirement, and then you draw relations, and you have 3 different relations that make sense, and then you not to have 100 of one. So this is much easier to work when you know what you want, what you have. So
yeah. I mean, a valid relationship is just the one that we can't have here, but I'm not sure if the model lets us restrict stuff at the
Yes.
moment.
It does put constraints on things.
Okay.
There is modeling constraints. It's just a question of,
you see,
not, like I say, we don't want to overly constrain it, because then if we have to relax it in a use case, we are making a breakthrough change, and that's what we're trying to avoid doing.
so you can have a relationship here between different elements of the model. But you can also go down
This is
to
a model diagram.
yeah, but if you go to another element where you have requirement, and then you can draw a relationship only between those and not between elements and elements, which would be much more specific.
I think you're confusing the model here that we're showing you, which is a UML model,
Yeah.
with an instantiation of it.
No, I know UML since 30 years, so
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well, then let's map out the use case you're seeing, and then let's populate it properly and then check it out.
Yeah.
We welcome you in our calls
Yes, yeah.
on Fridays.
Friday at 6.
Well, 6 is hard for me.
We have people taking calls in the middle of the night. When we have the ELISA afternoon calls, and there are people from Japan in there, so. Open source is hard.
But yeah, no, but
You know, the picture is.
Yeah.
I don't know, eins macht jeder
like
seins.
I say, we can set this one up call if you want, if you do a pre-mapping or something and model it up in a use case, we'll set a call and walk through it.
Yeah, we can have smaller calls too, but the big call. We can be sure that people show up.
I just started modeling. Let me ask, which tools you use to create this model?
Joy.
Yeah, the drawing is a draw. Oh, we have something that we all scribble in.
Yeah, but what? Our models are done in Markdown, and then they're translated into schemas automatically.
So you
So we have
model it
full-
marked out at the end,
Mhm.
because I did some just this
Yeah.
morning. I did a small model using Eclipse modeling framework, EMF. And from that model, I could in some seconds generate a prototype and see whether it did what it did. And there's a tool then already there. So this is something I think would take some days to remodel this thing also on a
No,
structured way. But
the
yeah, I
big
will
eff-
just
yeah,
show
the
you
big
something.
effort is not drawing the boxes. The big effort is on agreeing on the boxes and
Yeah,
the content of the
And
boxes.
this is something very valuable you have done. So this is very, very good. It's just maybe modeled not in the way how I would
Yeah,
recommend.
like I say, you need to get familiar with our core model.
Mhm.
Okay, because this all builds on that core.
Yeah, I've seen the core model. This is,
Okay.
I've read it and, yeah, have some comments here as well.
Well, that's fine. Comments are almost welcome.
Yeah.
On the other hand,
There are
we
also,
will not break our core model until 4.0.
yeah, but
Yeah, but
if you
this
want,
is
if you want to
exactly-
break it, you need to show up early.
Yeah, so
It's good to be here. too.
Yeah.
But that's good. Okay.
So,
it was exactly my thinking for 4.0.
any questions and comments on that? Because that's my last slide regarding what for the release candidate, because then it's. We still have time.
A lot.
We still have a lot of time. If
Okay,
you want.
good. That's the last content on the release candidate, and what I want to show is stuff that's still in the pipeline and that still needs even more discussion than the release candidate. Because that is stuff that we are talking about is product line engineering. So how can we describe variants of requirements when you have requirements, just say for vehicle type, you need vehicle propulsion system. How do you specify what goes into vehicle type and what goes into propulsion system? calibration data, all that stuff. How do we describe that? So this is a big topic, and that's something that we really need to solve. Just let me show you. And there's a slide on that we can discuss.
Okay.
And yeah, also describing then this all this part with that goes into processes and plans and guidelines, so tasks and bundling these tasks and giving more information to the agent, because agent at the moment is just person, software tool, and company, something like that, organization. So this is really just a copy from what's in the drawer. Also, yeah, we scribble around a lot. That's definitely not the solution. That's some intermediate discussion point. Well, we then stopped a few weeks ago to focus on what's really going into the release candidate. Yeah, whoever thinks they can contribute valuable input, please show up. It's highly valued.
And there's a mail list too to subscribe to if you can't make the time.
Mhm.
So putting things out.
Yeah, we also have a mailing list, right? And we have the regular calls. And if this does not work for you, we'll find some other way that works for you.
Yeah, so my comment on my experience with modeling variants and product lines is something that we have added to many of our modeling approaches. And this is just looking into what the C programming language does, because they have also variants. And they have hash defines. You can define something. If Windows, then this and this, else this and this.
Yeah, this is the implementation.
This is the implementation, but you can do a very similar thing in the modeling. So if you have your root element, you can define, you can add some kind of like definitions. And if you don't have any assignment to a definition, then your model will be always present. If you say it's only defined for Windows, then you just draw one link from your modeling element to the variant element, and then it will only be present if the variant is something present. And you need to have a mechanism to activate a variant and say, now it's defined. So
yeah, but that's then the implementation. Last part, what you said is implementation. So
yeah, but it's
how
also
would you, how would you model the part where it says, yeah, operating system, targeted operating system?
target operating system.
That's how do you name this target operating system? And then how do you model the list of valid values that go into it? So this is yeah. You see, these are the questions, and we are
I
round
all of this, yes.
Yes, it would be so fantastic if you can, we can talk in the big round about that. We don't have Chuck yet on the call, right? It's Sunday.
No, it's way too early for him.
Yeah,
I think
so,
it's 2 a.m. for him right now,
okay, yeah, no expectation on that.
and he's not been well, so. Yeah, we've been spending a lot of time with the Boeing folks, making sure what we're doing is gonna work for them,
Yeah, we also,
because they've got product.
Yeah. and also, Ryan, I don't know the last name of Ryan,
He's an architect at Boeing.
yeah, and he has a lot of input to that. But yeah, we more or less stopped this modeling this activity to really get the release candidate out. Because yeah, you sometimes need to make a cut and then say, hey, you pick this up later. But that's a core point to make this valuable.
Yeah, we have experienced 2 classes of variants. One is the atomic ones, where you can just say if operating system Windows, Linux, whatever. And we have the other classes when you have logical expressions, if Windows or this, or if Windows and this. So then you need some more variant elements with and or variants. But at the end, it's just like a preprocessor that runs over your model and filters out the right things. So that's pretty easy.
But we need the model first before we can pre-process it.
Yeah, of course. You need to have a meta model where you say, okay, this is a variant element, and then you need a root element to select the right variant, activate variants, and then that's I can draw it right, a single slide.
Yeah, single slides are even more welcome than many slides.
Yeah, exactly. That's really simple.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. And yeah, another just get going. Another topic. big topic are describing tasks and processes, because we just in food, yeah, we don't want only to have the code and maybe some docs to it. We also want to know how things are done, how things have been done, and how do we tell people what we expect, how things are done. And oops, here we are. So there was an idea out there already. We did not discuss it in the end. So in the end, a task most probably also is some kind of element. A task can use a tool can be configured. This is nothing magic. It will be done by an agent. There will be properties to a task. So this is really something that's much work in progress.
So also here a comment, we do have a process modeling tool where we model processes, meaning like tasks. And we model them with subtasks, and the most important thing are the input and the outputs, the artifacts that go in and go out. And then also the
I mean, process modeling and task modeling, it's not rocket science. We all do it for quite some time, but putting this in a model and selling this model to the group is the biggest issue.
Yeah.
And that's something we all need to agree on.
Right now, there was in the 3.0, there's actually a build profile that is a specialization of, I think, what we should go in for is a general model. So we're going to need to reconcile that as well, which is in some case.
Yeah,
you know all the context.
Yeah, that's the next thing that we also always need to consider is, yeah, we have our FUSA glasses, and these are already multidimensional because we have people from, yeah, like me coming from automotive and automation. We have people coming from the aerospace world. We have also Greg in there that comes more from the industrial side. So there are a lot of ideas around that, and people speak about the same stuff with different words. And then we have this dimension, and then we add another dimension in not annoying the other profiles or even creating stuff that is usable by the other profiles. So you don't want to break things between profiles. So that's, so it's not just like if you're in the company, you define this and it works for you and you apply this because that's your product to apply the models that you have created. Here is the model creation is a little bit more complex, but the content should be very similar in the end.
We're also running into areas where people who are trying to describe the hardware, be it physical and virtual, also have to fit into this flow, and they have different concepts in some of the tasks that too beyond software. But for a full safety case, we're going to need to be able to model the hardware and the software. Eventually.
Yeah, but hardware and software are not processes, both on processes.
So this is the language that we're reconciling here.
For example, creating a development artifact using a task. You create requirements using the task described is something that the hardware side sees completely different if they create a physical thing, because this physical thing has much more properties than this element, because it might go through different levels of ownership before it is the final product, goes through different lots of manufacturing. They want different things described to this than we want from the, let's say, engineering development side. So this is something that we really need to agree on, or gets the stuff that's breaking each other.
Yeah, Matt's asking in the chat, has ISO 74393 being considered as pattern/terms to align to? 74393.
It's like architectural viewpoints, way to decompose a system of systems.
Yeah. So it's 42010/2022.
Yeah.
Something we're going to take a look at.
Yeah, we need to take a look at. Maybe we have looked at it, maybe we haven't, because I can't remember everything we've looked into the last 2 years.
That That's fair. The interesting thing is how it breaks down in architecture. It does a good job simplifying sort of handoffs and I think what they call layers. They look at them through a different sets of viewpoints that have goals of looking at like from a process view, deployment view, logical, and
It sounds a lot about the stuff we looked
Yeah.
into in the beginning with RTEM.
It could be, and the thing is, if it's an ISO standard, that lines up nicely for us because we're trying to reuse as much of ISO. as possible.
But also in the end, we need to also sell this to the hardware guys.
Yeah,
But it's we have to look into it. Maybe that's the stuff that
I'm
started
thinking
it,
it,
even if we already looked into it, look into it again after 2 years and see how much we adhere and learn from it again. Definitely makes sense.
that's fair.
yeah, no.
Thank you for the input. Really.
Yeah, very good input. I know, we need to go figure out something. Okay. Joe's looking. Oh. Does anyone know if there's a free version of that one around somewhere?
It's many numbers
If it's
like
the-
the IEEE and so on, you may be lucky because it's just
Yeah, the IEEE might have it something.
and it could be cheaper.
Mhm.
IEEE.
Yeah, it's a $200 one, so. But IEEE's already done something, there may be a draft, but it's somewhere, that's pretty close.
Good input here.
Questions?
Okay, then the next big thing we need to talk about is agents. So in the model, an agent looks like this. So there is not much to it. In FUSA, we want to have a lot of more information about an agent. I mean, there are people having business models selling qualification kits for software, I heard.
Is this an agent? I'm not
No, the software is an agent, but it needs to be qualified for FUSA, right? So there is stuff that we need to add. It needs to have some qualification. For me, that's the most important information about, can I trust my agent to do the stuff that I wanted to do properly? So this is something we definitely need to add. Starting to try to model things currently results in extremely long lists. So this most definitely is not the solution to it. So this is something to discuss in a bigger round with the group. And yeah, so far what we have seen is that we can use what we're currently working on to standardize and to automate and to tailor our information for the different life cycle phases of a product. It looks like it's useful for reproducible impact analysis. One goal we really try to achieve, and what it looks like we achieve, is this to be tool agnostic. As for the exchanging information, so the tools really, once we have the model outside, can consume a safety as an SPDX safety SBOM and can consume it and also create their own that can be then consumed somewhere else. And that then works on the long time in a compliance as code approach, so that we really have the compliance artifacts not as an Excel checklist with a Word document as report, but to have information available that can be consumed to create a human readable report, but that also can be used to have a handshake for safety compliance information in the supply chain. And this is a story to be continued for quite some time. Talk to Kate, talk to me, get on the mailing list. So there are links behind that. You will get the slides. Our weekly meeting is on Friday, 6 p.m. European time. Yes, it's hard for a European, but yes, it's worth it. So the discussions are not always like, oh, do we draw this arrow from this side to the other, but we also discuss really good topics before we get to the conclusion how we want to do things in the end. So there are very smart people in there, Chuck, and yeah, it's a very interesting group, and the more safety and systems engineering people we have in there, the faster we go to a certain point, and the better and more useful the output is.
We don't have anything in Discord.
We don't have a Discord for that. So I think the SPDX community, they talk on Slack. I'm on Slack. I don't use Slack really. I think the best thing to talk is the mailing list. I'm not sure if we should add some, let's say, ELISA viewpoint group on the ELISA Discord, but we don't have a Discord for SPDX.
We can ask one of the admins to do something on Slack, but I'm getting another channel.
Yeah, I try to be on Slack, but I see that I don't use it really.
Yeah.
Because the open chain is on Slack and the Chaos project is on Slack, and I want to be on this communication, but I just don't use Slack so active as I use Discord or other things. So there is still a good mailing list out there that works.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
There's no more questions. I think we can just stop and maybe start doing the wrap up.
No, wait, one more.
Yeah, well, that doesn't.
Sorry. Oh, yours, yeah. Oh, your talk. Okay, sorry.
It seems to be a repeating thing that I believe this was the last one because we're getting closer to the
Lunchtime.
lunchtime. Actually, the official lunch is, we can first stop.